Hello students, I am your regular geography teacher, Mr. Penyong Udo. Today we are going to look at weather. Previously in our last class in second term, we did talk about oceans, and then we looked at the different types of oceans as well as the economic importance of oceans. We also said that the ocean occupies 70% of the total area of the landmass, while the other 30% takes over the land. Today, we want to look at weather. Of course, we have weather and climate, but for today, we want to look at weather. As you can see, weather is the condition of the lower atmosphere of a place over a period of time. And of course, weather of a place always vary, or it is brief, or it changes regularly. As you can see, today you can easily say it is a sunny day, or you can say it is cloudy, or in most aspects later in the day it can rain. That is the weather, because it talks about it over a short period of time. Furthermore, we are going to look at the elements of weather, because weather on its own has some elements that must be able to aid it to change regularly, as you know. Firstly, on the board, we have temperature. Secondly, we have pressure, we have cloud, sunshine, rainfall, wind, as well as humidity, or you may call it relative humidity. Now, let's look at temperature as an element of weather. You can see that the air, the heat within the air is either hot or it is either what? Cold of a particular place, and this varies from latitude to latitude. And we all know that it is the sun that is the source, that is the source of the heat. And it is the heat that determines the temperature of a particular place. Of course, like I said, it varies from time to time. And this can easily be measured by an instrument known as the thermometer. We shall look at it later in the measurement of rainfall as well as temperature. Now let's all look at pressure. Pressure is another important element of weather. And the pressure here talks about the number of the mixed air, the mixed gases, as well as the air on which, the pressure on which it exerts on the earth's surface. So you can see that when the air is highly pressured, and of course this pressure varies from place to place, you could see that, and as well as time to time, you could see that at a certain time the atmosphere will also be affected in form of a cloud that will eventually result to something else, for example, rainfall. And this pressure, as we know, is being measured by an instrument known as the barometer. We'll also look at it. We'll see the drawing of the barometer. Thirdly, we have the cloud. Of course, we can see the cloud. Like I said earlier on, today the weather can be cloudy, today the weather can be sunny, today the weather can also be a rainy weather. So we are going to see how important the cloud is as an element of weather. And of course, we know that the particles of water droplets in the upper atmosphere that is suspended in the air is what we call the cloud. If you go out there, you can look at the cloud, you can see some particles of water, whitish in color. In most cases, you see it's blackish, whitish in color, and suspended in the atmosphere. That is what forms the cloud. And this is due to what we call condensation of water vapor that is carried by rising air. Eventually, this cloud will give way to what we call precipitation, that is rainfall. This cloud eventually bring out what we call precipitation. In the other way, you call it rainfall. And this cloud is give rise, like I said, give rise to rainfall, and in that area you can see that rain can fall, and that has caused the weather of that area to be changed. Next is sunshine. Of course, you can see that the visible part of the sun, which we see, brings what we call the solar energy, gives us what we call the solar energy. Of course, today you have many solar panels that have been invented for us to be able to have it in form of heat energy or light that we have in our various houses. So you can see that this sunshine is a very important element of weather and climate. It is also useful, this sunshine is also useful for plants and other living organisms. Of course, as we know, sunshine also determines how dry the wind and the air is, and as well it aids in the formation of rain, where we have the sun being so high in a particular day. At the end of the day, the air that are taken up in form of evaporation will now gather and form cloud, which eventually will result to rain fall on that day. So you can see that this air forms what we call cloud cover, and as well it will eventually become rain for that day. Now let us look at rain itself, rainfall on its own. Of course, you see that rainfall talks about the water droplets from the atmosphere. Like I said earlier on, rainfall can as well be referred to as precipitation. Of course, this occurs as a result of evaporation from water bodies, such as you can have rivers where water evaporates from, you can have streams, it goes up from there, you can have lakes, you can have ponds, as well as even plants. Water, like I said, can be evaporated from rivers, water evaporates from streams, ponds, you also have lakes, as well as plants. These water all go into the atmosphere in form of evaporation and eventually form the cloud, the rainy cloud, which eventually resolve to rainfall, And of course, like I said, from rivers, lakes, oceans, as well as transpiration from plants, form of transpiration from plants. Now let us look at the wind. Let's look at the wind. The wind simply means air in motion. Of course, we can see that whenever the weather changes and rain is about to fall, you will see the wind will begin to blow either from one direction to another. This simply means the air that is in motion, and of course from a high pressure to a low pressure belt. In that case, you can see that it is a special, it is very, very important and very, very necessary for wind as one of the elements of climate, as it carries moisture, it carries dust and other pollutants. Let's quickly look at humidity. Humidity is another element of weather, and it's also the element of weather, And humidity simply means the measurement, it measures the dampness of the atmosphere due to water in a gaseous form, water in gaseous form or gaseous states. And it varies from place to place at different times of the day. You can see that the relative humidity of a particular place now might be different from the relative humidity of another place in some other time, or the relative humidity of today might be different from the relative humidity of tomorrow. Of course, we have two types that exist, which is the absolute and the relative humidity. We have the two types, absolute and relative humidity. Now, like I said, we have weather, of course. In summary, I said that weather is the condition of the lower atmosphere of a place over a short period of time, and of course, it is very brief and changes regularly. It can be sunny, it can be rainy, or it can be cloudy. So far, we have the elements: weather, temperature, pressure, cloud, sunshine, rainfall, wind, as well as humidity. In our next class, we are going to look at the weather instruments. We're going to look at the weather instruments. Weather instruments, ranging from rain gauge, temperature, as well as wind vane, and then we look at relative humidity, which is the hygrometer, as well as the barometer. When we come next, we look at those weather instruments. For now, bye, my students. See you later.